Hi everyone, I'm Alex, and today we're going to delve into another true crime story together. When Christy first met Jason Sheets, she immediately knew he was destined to be the love of her life. They were quite young then, living just 15 minutes apart. Christy grew up in Decatur, Alabama, while Jason lived and attended high school in nearby Trinity. Shortly after their first meeting, Christy and Jason began dating, and they quickly fell deeply in love, dreaming of a future together. Jason eventually proposed to Christy. They soon started a family, welcoming 2 daughters, Madison and Taylor, 5 years apart. Despite the age difference, the girls remained close throughout their childhood and beyond. During these formative years, the family moved to Fulshear, Texas. Christy was an avid Facebook user, often posting pictures of her seemingly happy family, striving to maintain a curated image even during tough times. Madison, their youngest daughter, excelled in her high school academics and enjoyed babysitting part-time. Taylor, their eldest, was a full-time teacher at a local daycare center, with aspirations of becoming a professional artist. The girls appeared well-behaved and deeply loved their parents. Christy was known for her dedication to being a kind mother, while Jason was seen as a loving, devoted father and husband. However, sometimes love isn't enough. In early 2012, the death of Christy's beloved grandfather plunged her into a profound depression. He had been a significant influence in her life, and his loss was like losing a part of herself. Christy's grief deepened when her mother passed away just a few months later. Losing 2 of the people she loved most was overwhelming. Her mother had been one of her best friends, a confidante with whom she shared all her secrets. These consecutive losses sent Christy into a downward spiral, straining her relationships with family and friends. Over the next 4 years, Christy's depression worsened. She became unrecognizable to those closest to her, with frequent mood changes, a lack of appetite, and 3 suicide attempts thwarted by her husband. Despite Jason's efforts to console her, Christy felt misunderstood and alone in her suffering. Dealing with death is a complex experience, and unfortunately for Christy, time did not heal her wounds. By June 2016, Christy and Jason were ready to end their 20-year marriage. Christy felt Jason disregarded her feelings, while Jason thought Christy was shutting him out. Their constant arguments and lack of affection had turned their marriage sour. Though Christy had never been violent or unstable before, the deaths of her mother and grandfather seemed to break something inside her. She had been in and out of mental health facilities 3 times, and the family had become accustomed to calling authorities out of fear Christy might harm herself. Christy was on various medications for depression and anxiety, but no one knew how rigorously she adhered to her regimen. Jason noted that she often drank heavily, which likely clashed with her medications. Despite the available resources, nothing seemed to alleviate Christy's pain. She felt isolated, with no one truly understanding her. On the afternoon of June 24, 2016, Christy made a decision that would irrevocably change her life and those around her. A few days earlier, she had argued with their eldest daughter, Taylor, who was planning to marry her fiancé. During the argument, Christy threatened to ground Taylor and prevent her from seeing her fiancé. Jason, overhearing, defended Taylor, insisting Christy couldn't treat their 22-year-old daughter so patronizingly right before her wedding. Christy, enraged by Jason's refusal to take her side, stormed off, but Jason didn't think much of it. A few days later, Christy called a family meeting, informing Jason and the girls that she had things to discuss. Jason assumed Christy wanted to talk about their impending divorce, which they hadn't yet shared with Taylor and Madison, or perhaps revisit the earlier argument with Taylor. Nothing could have prepared Jason for what Christy had planned. As the family gathered, they sensed something was off with Christy. Jason braced himself for an emotional conversation, ready to comfort his daughters if necessary. However, instead of discussing their issues, Christy pulled out a gun. In that moment, Jason realized this meeting wasn't about their divorce. It was about Christy reaching a breaking point. What followed shocked everyone. Jason, frozen in horror, watched as Christy pointed the gun, one she had gotten from her grandfather, not at him, but directly at their daughter Taylor, and then she fired. Jason jumped up and rushed to his eldest daughter, shouting for Madison to run to the front door. He threw himself over Taylor, screaming in shock at Christy, desperately trying to pull Taylor up and escape the nightmare unfolding in their foyer. Instead of escaping, Madison managed to call 911 amidst the chaos. But just before she could make it out the door, Christy fired another shot, hitting her youngest daughter. Though the 911 call connected, the dispatcher couldn't have a conversation with Madison. Screams echoed through the line as Jason, Madison, and Taylor begged Christy to stop shooting. Madison struggled to the front door, but collapsed on the welcome mat, taking her last breath. Taylor and Jason managed to run into the street, with Christy chasing after them. Taylor also attempted a 911 call, more screams punctuating the brief connection, before it ended abruptly. Jason braced for a bullet, but instead Christy shot Taylor again, before turning back toward the house. Jason and the injured Taylor made it to the end of the cul-de-sac, relieved to see neighbors, who had called the police after hearing the gunshots. The once quiet neighborhood was now a war zone. One neighbor reported hearing Jason shout, "Don't do this. There are kids." Another neighbor's 911 call described Christy going back inside to reload. "She's coming back again. Apparently she has bullets now." As Christy exited the house once more, intent on firing another round at her family, police arrived. Ignoring the officers, Christy shot Taylor again, before turning her attention to the cops. They surrounded her, ordering her to drop her weapon. Christy smiled eerily at Jason, before an officer fired a single shot, killing her instantly. Taylor was airlifted to Memorial Hermann Hospital, but despite their efforts, she could not be saved. 3/4 of the Sheets family were wiped out in one unthinkable series of events. Taylor had graduated with honors from Lone Star College Sci-Fair just a year prior. Madison was about to enter her senior year at Seven Lakes High School. Jason was left to mourn his entire family, shattered by Christy's irrevocable choice. Strangely, Christy had ample opportunity to shoot Jason, but chose not to. This deliberate decision seemed to underscore her intent to make Jason suffer. Christy felt Jason never understood the unbearable loss she experienced after her grandfather and mother died. So in a twisted way, she decided to make him understand by taking away the people he loved most. On that fateful day in June 2016, Jason Sheets became a victim of an unthinkable crime that cost him his entire family, a trauma he will carry for the rest of his life. Thank you for watching, everyone. What do you think of today's story? Write your opinion about this case. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated on new stories from around the world. See you soon. Take care.